quit. Step back, I'm going in. I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how legends are made.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are rolling along with our preview weeks content. We got less than a week till the season starts, April 1st, and we are hitting it up with the big boys today. You look at the way that athletics has gone in anywhere, state of New Jersey, and you're dominated by the non-public schools, and that is what we're looking at today. Non-public A, Don Bosco Prep, going for the three-peat. Going to be tougher than ever this year, but if anybody can do it, it's Coach Rooney, Coach Wads, and the Ironmen. And non-public B, Gloucester Catholic is making its claim to kind of restore the best team in New Jersey of the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and pushing forward with some great players, but going to have some competition just to get out of the backyard this year for GC. So it's going to be a lot of fun. J-Mac is with us, John McAdams, the regional director for Perfect Game. He's seen all these guys. Let's start with the big boys in North Jersey, and crazy as ever, right?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be crazy. A lot of competition, a lot of depth on a lot of rosters. Obviously, Don Bosco, defending champion. So it should be fun to see what happens up there in North Jersey this year.
Yep, we'll hit some of the big boys and have you comment on them. Obviously, Don Bosco is going to go first, and I don't know that they're the favorites this year, but it can't really call them the underdogs if you're bringing out rolling out Ethan Lee to the mound, one of the incredible 2026s in New Jersey, rolling out Michael Hanna in the lineup among others. You know, major blow losing Dylan Henshaw, their great 25 commit who's already ticketed to University of Iowa. But, you know, obviously the competition, Del Barton, top to bottom, is as good as anybody in the state of New Jersey, whether it's the 24s, Aiden Dill, Jack Harley, the 26s led by Sal Garcia and AJ Sacento, and really everybody, each and everybody in between. Certainly major competition for the number one spot. DePaul is the fast riser. And obviously they've got an incredible 26 class as well, with Jason and Malbert, Christopher Morano, and JC Pacheco leading the way there. Do they have enough to overcome the old heads and win? St. Joe's regional, St. Joe's Montvale was the state champ before Don Bosco, so they're loading up for this year as well. Seton Hall Prep, you're going to tell us about, with a number of studs. They should be getting top 5 consideration by the time this is all over. Bergen Catholic, Jamie Z, one of the great players in the state. St. Peter's Prep, Pope John. And then you think you got it easy and you face Dwight Englewood, who hasn't done a whole lot lately. And you're facing either Reese Bowie, who's going to Wake Forest, or you're facing Everett Garber, who's another absolute beast.
Absolutely.
What do you do if you're a non-public A team? You just I mean, every game's going to be impossible.
Sure, and listen, that's to go to the depth of just the sheer talent in New Jersey too, as the rosters continue to get even more littered with talent and younger. Let's break down the teams a little bit. Obviously, Don Bosco defending champions. Mighty blow not having Dylan Henshaw, obviously committed to Iowa. Shout out to Sean McGrath, New Jersey native there, Hudson Catholic, coming into the state of New Jersey to grab a talented right-hander. But like you said, Ethan Lee, young guy, has the stuff to beat anybody on any given day. Michael Hanna committed to University of Virginia. Gabe Kushner behind the plate, some veteran leadership there. Nicky Becker going to UVA, following his brother. Johnson Sarza is another young guy who's been into the mid-upper 80s now, with feel for spin. So obviously, listen, having Coach Rooney at the head of the ship is going to help with his experience and so forth too, trying to get the best out of these guys, whether they're young, inexperienced or not. So you can never count them out at the end of the day. Del Barton seems like the head of the class, like we talked about. They're just they have so much depth along, like we said, 24s with Jack Harley and Aiden Dill. Then you get into the 26s with AJ Sacento, who can beat anybody who's now into the upper 80s. You got Sal Garcia probably playing shortstop, obviously headed to Duke, super athletic, has had big hits last year against Rainey and so forth too, so there's experience. Finian O'Loughlin, 2027 freshman, that's there. If he's hitting 7th or 8th in your lineup, you're going to be pretty good because he's really, really talented. DePaul Catholic, like we said, young guys. Maybe the lack of inexperience may help them because they don't know any better, because they are so talented, whether it's Jason Almabird on the mound at the plate, JC Pacheco at the plate, Christopher Morano's got some of the nastiest stuff you'll ever see. And then my kind of, let's say, dark horse, I don't know if you want to call him a dark horse, Seton Hall Prep not getting as much love. Marcelo Harsh can beat anybody. With regards to that, Henry Ayers, Jordan Burwell, Will Mahala, another UVA guy, as Coach McMullen and Coach O'Connor continue to come into the state of New Jersey and grab guys year after year. JJ Drennan's another young guy who's been mid to upper 80s with a good breaking ball as well. So that adds depth into the rotation. So it's going to be, I guess, matchups. You know what I mean? Matchups where, hey, this guy can beat this guy on any day. But Del Barton just seems like they have so much more depth on the mound. And even across the lineup that it's going to be tough to navigate kind of through those guys multiple times.
Right. And I don't want to hear once this comes out, we're sleeping on anybody, because let's get it out. You're all good. You're all capable of winning. We don't sleep on anything during baseball season. We don't even sleep. So, we're nobody's getting slept on here. But I agree, Del Barton's got to be the favorite just because of the overall depth, through the lineup, through the pitching staff. But certainly a lot of guys capable of bumping them off, and probably the same South A, maybe not quite the attention getters. Red Bank Catholic is loaded, and ready to go. When you're dealing with right at the forefront, Sean Griggs, Dylan Passo, and just a host of others who can flat out mash. Declan Leary is not afraid of anybody. Not going to blow you up with the Lavonis kind of stuff, but I mean, you talk about that compete gene, the competitive gene. He's as good as anybody around. CBA, Chris Lavonis, touching 98 is, I guess, an okay thing. That's pretty good. He'll be on, if he's pitching and you expect to be sitting behind the plate, you better get there about 3 hours early to beat all the scouts that'll be there. But Danny Simbinos, among the leaders on the roster. The St. Augustine, probably we would have to call the Seton Hall Prep of the South this year. I know you love them as just like, they got guys who, haven't even done a lot that are just loaded. The Matt Kausers of the world, who shout out going to Northwestern, just absolute studs. They got hitters that are the Ryan Williamses of the world that are just physical freaks that haven't blown up yet, that certainly are capable of. Joey Arachi obviously has a little bit. Jamison Dobas, who you'll talk about, I know, is a guy that you really like. St. Joe's Metuchen is always there. Donovan Catholic has kind of come into the mix. Jake Marciano, Virginia Tech guy, leading the way there. And then even, the guys fitting the Dwight Englewoods of the world, the St. Thomas Aquinas is not one to be slept on. Gavin Sansone, Will Bethea. Notre Dame is always capable of giving you a run for the money. And if you're wondering about Notre Dame's level of talent, you look at the guys like Dylan Palmer, who graduated 2 years ago at Hofstra, who just got his 100th career hit at Hofstra in a year and about a month. Like, that's
64 games it took him to get 100 hits.
Well, wind him up, and he's got 3 hits already. So what are we looking at in South A?
Well, like you said, I mean, with CBA, anytime you have Chris Lavonis waiting, that's obviously more than often not a win. But another guy, 2026, that they have Sean Logie, who's into the upper 80s now, with a good breaking ball. So as you kind of look in how they matriculate through that bracket and so forth, if you have 2 guys and you can kind of alternate, and let's not discount Daniel Pardini and another young left-hander that can go through that. with regards to it. So, I mean, if you have those two guys and Pardini, that's going to be tough sledding for teams to get through. St. Augustine's, like we talked about, there's a lot of guys from a depth perspective that maybe have not shined through yet, but just in sheer terms of the amount of arms, whether it's Cowser, Jamison Dobis, who's an uncommitted 2025 that's up into the low 90s. One of our biggest risers within the state, Alex Weingartner in the 26 class, who's up to 92 with a breaking ball. And then just looking, I mean, you have other guys. Jake Myers is now into NJIT commits, now into the low 90s, plus is a fantastic position player and swings it. Joey Arachi, Rutgers commit. Gillespie and DJ Lloyd behind the plate, who both will help within the lineup when they're not behind the plate, but also bring pretty good arms behind the plate to negate the running game. Donovan Catholic, like you said, Jake Marciano going to Virginia Tech from the left side. He can beat anybody on any given day. David York has some of the most power we'll come to see in the state. There's so much sheer talent across the board that I would say A's North or South Jersey A is a little bit more jumbled than North, with Del Barton a little bit ahead of everybody. So it could be some interesting matchups there. But if CBA's got Lavonis waiting in the wings, good luck.
Absolutely. Now, in non-public B, North Jersey, has taken a backseat to South Jersey in recent years. Probably will do so again this year, at least if you look on paper. But within itself has turned out some of the most, super like ridiculous, brackets and great games and great competition. It still is incredibly even, especially at the top. Looks again like probably three teams standing out above others. Although Montclair Kimberly is making its way up the ladder very quickly with all the money they pumped into their facility, among other things. St. Mary's, Coach Archibald always does a great job there. Gill, had the bats last year, has the bats again this year. When you're talking about John DiGregorio, you're talking about Matthew Park, you're talking about Colin Chow, they can hit with anybody. Danny Sassy making a return back should certainly bring them up the lineup a little bit, as far as up the ladder a little bit. And then Rutgers Prep, a lot of turnover. I don't know if there's any way to hide that from last year, and some big names not there anymore. But if you believe, like I do, and I know you do, that pitching rules the roost in high school baseball, and you're going out there with the proven Max Triones and the talent of Lee Perez still young, why can't Rutgers Prep make a run?
Absolutely. And that's the same thing. I'm a big proponent on pitching if you have more than one guy in that depth, because just the way it matches up where you can kind of alternate each day. Coaching and experience obviously is a big factor with regards to it, because listen, at the end of the day, you still have young kids playing the great game of baseball. So any life experience or experiences within big games can help with that. But like you said, St. Mary's, Coach Archibald's going to continue to get good players to come in year and year out. They'll be well coached. They'll have plenty of almost, I don't want to call it attitude, but they're going to be ready to play on any given day. Rutgers Prep, obviously, listen, losing Fronio and Parisi hurts within the lineup, but having those two guys in Triozzi and Luzardo Perez are obviously beneficial to make a deep run should they get there and go forth as we kind of there. And then Gil St. Bernard, that probably 2-3-4, 3-4-5 with DeGregorio, Matthew Park, and Colin Chow. Obviously, listen, pitching is going to be the issue there. Let's see who steps up and who may be able to navigate them to a couple wins through the bracket. You never know.
Yep. I'm gonna. I don't know. I mean, that's as tough as any to predict. I would say St. Mary's probably still the slight favorite.
Yep.
But I'd say maybe after that, St. Mary's Gill in the final this year with Rutgers Prep. Like I said, be careful if that's your semifinal matchup. Especially if it depends how they get their rotation set up too. Like there's Max took down a whole lot of good teams last year. I mean, Lehigh's all over him for a reason. So, again,
Yep, and when
that's it.
when the lights turn on, he becomes better. And
Mm-hmm.
stuff doesn't phase him, so he's got a slow heartbeat when it comes to that type of stuff. So you never know.
And we saved the blood feud for last down in South B. Um, Gloucester Catholic, Bishop Eustace, Ranny. People are going to say that Randy's going to take a little bit of a hit because AJ Grassi doesn't come around for forever, on trees. The kid is tearing it up at Duke as a freshman. I mean, that's, crazy. But realistically, look at who they've got. When you talk about maybe the top 2 or 3 high school power hitters in the country. So if you're pitching to Ryan Costello, you're probably already down to begin with. But you got them. You got Bishop Eustace with the ton back that you'll tell us about. Gloucester Catholic. Again, like Del Barton, Loden, you're probably looking at your 1 and 2 in the state at least to start the season.
Sure.
You're talking about coaches at all 3 that have gotten it done. State title winning coaches at all 3. You got the tenure of all as well. So break down that big 3 in South B, and we're in for another crazy year this year.
Sure, and like you said, Rainey's going to take a hit. Obviously, listen, AJ Grassi is hitting 3rd now. He hit 3rd last night for the number 9 team in the country as a freshman. So to lose somebody like that, obviously, and it's not just the actual skills, or the tools. It's how he goes about his business, the leadership qualities that he has, and so forth too. And he's just on a different level with regards to that. So that is going to obviously hurt them. But listen, if Ryan Costello gets pitched to, I mean, there might be crazy home run numbers with regards to, obviously, we talk about Rainey's Field, but this dude's got power that literally can hit it out of Yellowstone. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, they're going to be young. James Hare on the mound. Good stuff going to Rutgers, obviously, can beat anybody on any given day if he's on. Younger guys like Noah Hines, Nathaniel Fuller in that freshman class. Korupka, another Korupka's in there. One of the hardest workers they got, and with regards to it, he's going to obviously be within that lineup as well. And just obviously had Patroni coaching, going through it. They have a really good staff. They get after it from a practice standpoint, and they're going to be a tough out for anybody. But obviously probably on that lower rung as they continue to get new guys in. Bishop Eustace, like we've talked about before, plenty of arms from a depth perspective. A healthy Trey Martin is going to be big for them, especially within that lineup. It gives them a power threat at any given moment, obviously behind the plate too, from a leadership standpoint. Landon Mack into the low mid-90s now with such ease with regards to it. Lucas Edwards, another Rutgers commit like Landon Mack, just nasty stuff from a low slot. So if he's on, Chase Brandt, nasty lefty. Eamon McDermott going to Boston College, hasn't really done crazy stat-wise or innings-wise in high school yet, but it's actually really legit stuff. If he gets into that point where he's starting to command it a little bit better, which I know he is, then he's another arm that we can just go to there. And then you got position players. The Mashuli brothers are back for another year, so they bring veteran leadership there. Dante Doubles, who we expect to kind of take off with regards to it. The guy just gets the barrel on the baseball at any moment. They do have an exciting freshman that adds even more depth to the mound. Jack Lero, who's into the upper 80s now, really athletic guy. He's a name to watch kind of as we move forward the next couple of years. And then we'll go to Gloucester Catholic, okay? Just like Del Barton, I think they're the head of the class with regards to it. They're going to go back and forth with Del Barton. Some people say they're 1. Some people say Del Barton's 1. The depth between both lineups, both pitching rotations. Gloucester Catholic has a healthy Tate Darius this year. So University of Miami commit, low to mid-90s potential there, obviously, too, with good breaking stuff. Tough competitor. So that coupled with other guys like Joey Vaccarella in the 25 class, who's gained so much experience over the past 3 years. He's ready to pitch against anybody. He doesn't care who he's facing, who's in the lineup or not. He's going to go at it. His stuff's ticked up even more. Then you got guys. Guy Lineham, obviously 2026, going to be highly touted once that summer comes and so forth too. Transfer from Kingsway, Braden Lipoff behind the plate. Some of the best catch and throw skills obviously within the state. Bat's taken another step forward as well. Noah Danza, another University of Virginia commit there. Probably going to play shortstop, probably ends up in the outfield because of the athleticism, but a dynamic athlete with regards to that. And then they have depth. Jason Bogart, Henry Pancos, and it goes on and on. Brady Belfis, who's committed to St. Thomas Aquinas, goes on and on. Jack Mastero, who really, really good hoopster, now playing first base and so forth too. It goes on and on and on. But here's the thing. If you got to go play there, good luck. Because between the fans, the players, Coach Barth, who literally can win games by himself, we can see where if we saw it, we've seen it the past 2 years. If you got to go somewhere else, out in Gloucester Catholic's got to go somewhere else, it's a different animal. If you got to go there, yeah, have a nice day.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that Gloucester Catholic's the best team of the three, and they're going to start highest in my rankings. But I also know enough to know that whoever gets that one seed is going to be is sitting in the driver's seat. And it's not just because they can control when they use what pitcher they want, but and just the environments are different. The fields are so different. It's just that's going to be more than any other bracket. That home field edge is going to be huge in South Bay. So guess the last question before we wrap this up here now is, we used to have Coach Kroger make these matchups, pull them out of nowhere, just make these games. So if you could get one at like Arm and Hammer and get Del Barton to face Gloucester Catholic, who wins it? Who starts out 1 and who starts out 2?
I'm going to go Gloucester Catholic.
Yeah, I just think not by much. Tate Darius, we'll call him X Darius because he's the X factor. Him coming back and his ability to stay healthy and sharp, and he looks great in the preseason clips, is going to be what sets them over the top this year. They were awesome without him on the mound last year.
Agreed.
But with him, I mean, it's a pitcher go, and I know he hits and I know he plays short, but the pitching sets him over the top. And
and imagine that chess match between the two head coaches.
Yeah, slightest of slight edges, but we can get all the heat we want for it because unless something happens, it's not going to happen this year, and that's unfortunate. And maybe a Tournament of Champions would be nice too. But
that'd be cool.
That's a whole different episode. And we're not getting into that now. So that's it for the big boys. Going to be a great year. We'll ask you this question: depth of talent, at these non-publics seems like it's as good as it's ever been. Why is that?
I think just in terms of, listen, at the end of the day, when we talk about it, coaching, preparedness, development, and so forth too, I think also the biggest thing with the Northeast guys or New Jersey guys in general too is playing with like-minded players helps them continue to develop. So I think that's why we're seeing it, where you see some guys, hey, I'm going here, then another guy goes, and another guy goes, and another guy goes, where it's now they're getting into that kind of standpoint where, hey, I need to be around like-minded guys to continue to develop at the level that I need to, because then I'm prepared to go on and play college baseball, whether it's at a Power 5 or Division I or so forth too, because we've seen it across the board. I mean, listen, Rowan's a powerhouse in D3. We've seen it all across the board. William Patterson up in North Jersey has done really well. Montclair State's off to a good start this year. So I think that helps with regards to just being around a complete almost unit of like-minded guys so they can get after it together. And I think it's a lot of just, hey, the competition is crazy day in and day out because you can kind of make your matchups, go out of the conference and so forth too with some stuff. So I think that's probably the levity of it. And I think COVID, obviously, with regards to it, kind of happened where now you're seeing more guys go to public schools. I don't know the reason, maybe financially or anything like that, but I think it's more like-minded guys getting together, playing with each other in the summer, and they kind of want to continue it and make that run for a state title too. So from with their high school teams as well. So it's almost like everybody's kind of a unit year round. So it's helpful.
Well, that's it for today's edition. We look forward to seeing you guys at the field April 1st. It all kicks off, and going to be as exciting a year as ever. So John McAdams, Perfect Game Regional Director, Mid-Atlantic, thank you.
Thank
And we'll be back
you
tomorrow.
for having me. Looking forward to the year.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to it. Tomorrow we'll be back to finish off preview week with a look at some of the top players in New Jersey.